Hello. Gonna get Cory on. Hold on 1 second. Hello, welcome to my first um pardon my positivity from live on Facebook. Let's see if I can get us all going.
Yep, you just have to turn my video on, it says.
Yes. Your video. I'm gonna turn your video on.
Yep, it won't let me turn it on.
Ask to start video, it says.
There we go.
There we go. Me.
There we are.
Oh, I think we have a tiny bit of lag on Facebook, it looks like, when I have it pulled up. And for anybody who is on Facebook or YouTube watching, um, first of all, thanks everybody for coming. And secondly, if you try to participate with us via messaging on Facebook, I am watching the Glitter Shoes and Happiness too. So um, it is streaming on YouTube and my personal page and Glitter Shoes and Happiness too. But if you want a live chat, you have to go to the Glitter Shoes Happiness 2 one because I can't possibly watch all of them. So that being said, hi Cory, how are you?
I'm great. Hi, Paula. How's it going? First guest here on the podcast. I'm excited.
I
Thank you.
know. I'm super stoked. Some people, well, this is the first time some people are ever seeing the show, but this is episode 3, and this one comes to you live from my grandkids' bedroom at my house. So everybody gets to see where all the happy stuff happens here, where my grandparents are. Hi, Jen. Jennifer Pearson says hi. We both know her.
Hey, Jen. How are you?
Real quick,
Still
down
telling
and
the kids
dirty.
I said hi.
Yeah, tell the kids we say hi. And Joey, of course. Um, for new people to the show here on Pardon My Positivity, we focus on trying to live a happy life and focusing on the positive things so we can make the best of our days. This is our first time with a guest, and that's Cory Reinhard with us here tonight. So Cory is a friend of mine. I met him through volunteering with the American Cancer Society, and he is an all-around happy guy. So I'm happy to have him on the show, and I'll let him take a second to tell you all about himself because he can do that better than I can.
Yeah. So to be here. I really enjoy volunteering, different things. Right now, I'm currently one of the real men wear pink for the Lehigh Valley. So what I'll do on my Facebook page, if you're friends with me, I'll actually have my link right up there so you can join in, you can volunteer. And I'll also provide Paula with that link too. So hopefully when she reshares it in the future. But honestly, any donations help towards our campaign, planning some great events that are coming out. I got to meet Paula through one of our good mutual friends, James Pepe. So shout out to James. And just super excited to be here. One day, maybe I'll be on a trivia question on who was the first ever guest star on the show, and have at it.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Paula Lynch. I am an accountant by day, a bartender by night, and an all-around happy chick all the time. It's not because my life was perfect. That's because I choose to be happy. So every 2 weeks or so, we put together a show and we talk about things like choices you can make to have happiness be a better part of your day, or signs that it might be time to change something up so that you have a more positive outlook in your life. So the big part is us talking about those kinds of tidbits to help you out. But the other exciting part about our show is that you can call in and talk directly to me and whoever our guest happens to be that week. So this week, the phone number, it was scrolled up on the top while we were waiting to come in, but the phone number is 646 558 8656, and there's a code. So I'm going to share my screen for 1 second with y'all so you can see it. We don't need the music, do we? Oh, I guess the music's going to automatically play. So if you want to call in, stop share. Oh, there's my first technical difficulty. There we go. You need that code, 836-710-0512. And I'll pop that up again in a little bit. Didn't lose Cory, did I? Oh, I think I did. All righty, there he is. He's back. We won't share that as often.
Yeah, I didn't even curse yet. So.
Cory and I had a nice long talk about how both of us have to watch our mouths. But we encourage people to call in. So please call in if you want to tell us about the stuff in your life. Today's episode, really excited to talk about this one. Today's episode is protecting your positive vibe. So in our lives, right, once you've decided that you want to be happy, and that you've decided you're going to make happiness a part of your life, it's really important that you protect that, because a lot of things try to knock down our positivity and works against us. So whenever people call in, we just automatically put them on. But until then, me and Cory will chat about today's topic, right, Cory?
Absolutely.
So the first thing is you have to recognize that you get to define what your happy is. So what's your happy, Cory? Like, what makes you happy?
Yeah, I mean, just every day starting out in the right mindset is just a huge thing. So honestly, every day when I wake up, I like to do probably 15 to 20 minutes of meditation. I kind of always have a game plan of what my day is going to be. I exercise. I go to the gym super early in the morning. I have goals that I set for myself, at the gym. And then while I'm kind of doing my thing there, so I can kind of get set for, what's going to go on in my professional life for that day and also for my personal life. And I think just kind of keeping that, it really helps out with keeping that structure. But as you know, somewhere along the way, there's going to always be some people that come along who are going to try to break it down, or are going to try to throw, those curveballs in your day and try to make you have a sticky day. And, those are the things I think if you're kind of prepared for that and you're kind of aware and you stick to your game plan, it's going to really, really help you. So for me, it's just kind of knowing that, certain things are just temporary. And, if it's not going to really matter to me within 3-4 hours after somebody says something bad, it's going to bring my mood down. I can just kind of keep it moving and kind of keep it going straight forward. And a lot of times I think honestly, when people see that you're happy or people see that people are receptive to you, for whatever reason, they try to like kind of come at you and knock you down a little bit. But, I think the older that I've gotten in life here, I think I've realized that a little bit more. And I honestly am just comfortable in my own skin. And I really don't care what other people think. I really don't care what their agendas and what their goals are. I just kind of stay in my lane is one of my favorite sayings, and kind of keep it at that.
See,
That's
that's
what I can
awesome.
explain it. That's
I love that. Okay, at this point in my life, I know what makes me happy, what happiness means to me, right? I think so many people they don't figure out what happy is. Like we're
mhm.
taught, happiness is, well, for a long time, not so much with some younger generations, but like our parents and our grandparents were taught, in order to be happy, you have to get a good job and get married and have 2.5 kids and a picket fence and a dog in the suburbs, and everybody else is dictating what happiness is. And that's not necessarily true. Your happy doesn't
No.
have to be that story. Your happy is whatever your story is. That's something a lot of people battle with, is that they can't even figure out what it is that'll make them happy. So they can't pursue it. And the other thing is people don't realize that what makes you happy today is not necessarily what's going to make you happy tomorrow, or what's going to make you happy 5 years from now or 10 years from now. We're constantly growing. We're constantly evolving, because that's how we're supposed to be. And if we're growing, then the things that make us happy, our definition of happy will change, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. For me, Cory, rewind 10 years, right? And my happiness all revolved around my kids. I'm Girl Scout leader. I'm baking cookies on Sundays. At Christmas time, we had something going on every single weekend. 10 days out of December, we were baking cookies, building gingerbread houses, making ornaments, getting a Christmas tree. Everything revolved around my kids. And then they all grew up, and I had no happy because
Mhm.
they didn't need me anymore. So my happy, what brought me happiness, changed. So um, I had to really look at myself to say, well, what is it besides my children? What is it that makes me happy? And I realized I was happy in volunteering, but after really investigating, it was the social aspect of it that really brought me a lot of joy. So, now I bartend and I do this and I do social media probably way too much.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think over time, I think people's, their priorities change. And like you said, what the definition of happy is. And, I'm the same way. If I rewind back 10 years, both my kids were little and, now my kids are older and they're at a good age because they're both in like their mid-teen type age years. And they're at the point where they want to hang out with dad. They still think dad's kind of cool. I'm a divorced dad, by the way, for the people out there that don't know. So when I do have my kids, it's one of those things where it's, they're that age where they'll hang out with me for a little while, but then it's like they'll scatter off and they'll go to their rooms, and it's perfectly fine. I understand they have their own social agendas and things like that now, so it doesn't make me, it doesn't make me sad in a way at all. It's great because they're starting to get independent on their own. It's really neat seeing that, and exactly. But I think as you get older and you start to realize those things, it's important that you do have your own hobbies and your own interests, and you have to have your own life. And I think if I rewind back 10 years, just being quite honest, I didn't have my own hobbies. I didn't have, it was work and, kids related stuff. And, I wouldn't change that, but, where I am now, it's definitely, the evolution of it. It's funny when you think about it and you see it. So it's, I've always been a genuinely happy person, I think. And, minus a few years out, we're kind of in the road there, they're a little bit bumpy, but I think those years made me help realize like, I want to get back to being that happy person and feeling good about myself and just feeling great about life. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, that's absolutely like I would never say that those years when it all revolved around my kids, I was unhappy. I was incredibly happy with them and with my role as a mom. Used to joke when they were little that you lose this identity when you have
Hmm.
children that I was Paula and then all of a sudden I was Natasha's mom and I was Natasha's mom for 20 years before Natasha's
Hmm.
mom, Victoria's mom, Rebecca's mom, Jonathan's mom, for 20 years before I ever got to be Paula again because your role as their parent is so important and so much revolves around them. But like I said, they all grew up and all of a sudden I found myself like, oh, what do I do now? there's there's a little
That's
hole
time.
here.
What is that? What is time? What is it?
Exactly. Exactly. I need to do stuff with all this time. So but I think that I really, really think it's important for us to emphasize that there is no standard of happiness, right? Like
Not at
Cory and I,
all.
our story sounds a little bit similar because we have similar circumstances and we met through, similar groups and stuff. But we really uh we're not the definition either. There's lots of ways to find happiness. I mean, I have friends who do things that I find absolutely that would not bring me any happiness at all. Like running a marathon would not make me happy in the slightest. I would rather curl up right here and take a nap than run a marathon. But to some people, that's happiness. I think it's crazy, but to some people, it's
I
happiness.
think too, I think it's kind of like you said too, society has kind of changed with the evolution and different things because, if you go back over time, it's exactly everybody was kind of set to have the same kind of cookie cutter life. And, I've always thought of myself as being outside the box and just being really unique. And, I love that. I love that about myself. It's one of the things that I like the most is, I don't conform to what people think, a mid 40-year-old man should be. It's like, okay, well, I'm just me. And that's, sometimes I'm obnoxious. I like to have, certain things that sometimes people like to they tell me it flat out, it annoys them. Like my socks, I do socks of the day on social media. A lot of times, for work, I'll dress up boring suits with, you different flashy socks. Right now I'm doing Socktober for different, and they're like, you posts are annoying. Then I'll say, well, there's a button, the unfollow. I don't care just because, you think my sock posts are annoying. It's, or you can go pound sand, and I really don't care because now I'm just going to probably post 2 different sock changes a day because that's the type of person I am. So
That
It's
is,
just, you know, it's
I love your sock pose. I love that you're not gonna conform. Um, in my story, I conformed for a really long time trying to make I used to be an insane people pleaser. Like every choice I ever made was about pleasing other people. I never put myself first, right? And then when my relationship almost 3 years ago now, when that relationship ended, I had a lot of soul searching and figure out, like what am I gonna do for me? How am I gonna find happy in my life as a single person? And I'll be really honest. From the time I was 15 years old, I was never single more than like 2 weeks. So this was a big thing for me to be single for so long. And so I really had to find myself, and I had a lot of scars I had to deal with, especially with my self-esteem. So kind of like with your socks, those who follow my regular page, I post a smile every day, right? And then I post some positive thought. And really that just started with um, one day I tried to post a smile and I couldn't find a smile at all, no matter how hard I tried. And I posted a picture of a half-hearted smile, a broken-hearted smile. And then the next day I was like, I'm really gonna try to find a smile in here. And so I took a couple more pictures. And then the next day I was like, I'm gonna keep taking pictures until I find one where I feel like I'm good enough to post this on the internet. Right. So some days I take one picture and there you go. I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm funny, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing. Some days I take 50 pictures before I can find one where I feel like I'm good enough. And in the beginning, especially, I'd get a lot of comments from people that were like, "What, you're just taking the same picture in a different shirt, right? Or you got to change up your poses and do this and do that." And I almost stopped posting smiles every day because I was intimidated by these people in their comments. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I'm not posting this smile for you. I'm posting this smile because this is part of my healing. This is part of how I'm figuring
Mhm.
out that I'm good enough. So this is my happy to post this smile every day. And that smile then turned into my ponderings every morning with my chihuahua. And now,
Mhm.
if I don't post by 8:30, people start sending me messages saying, "Hey, where's your smile? I can't go to work unless you send me a smile." So bravo on
It's a
not letting them
it
stop
is,
you with
it's
your
true though. It's like,
socks.
you know, once you start to realize, like, you know what? Yeah, it's, you know, it's true though. I mean, the best point that you made there, I think, is it's, you know, you're not posting for them. It's not necessarily for them. It's just, you know, you're posting for yourself because it's, you know, it's a good way to express yourself. It's a way to get your thoughts out there for the day. And honestly, for the 5 people that, you know, or 2 people or whoever it is that say negative comments to you, you know, over that time frame, think about all the other people that enjoy it and then like it, and you know, they actually look forward to it. So that's the thing. That's the thing with me too. It's, you know, I get a lot of people who will randomly stop me, or I haven't seen them in a long time in person. They're just kind of Facebook people or, you know, Instagram people, and they're like, "Oh my god, I love your sock post. Like, you know, how many socks do you have?" And you know, it's a dumb thing when you think about it. Like, you know, who thinks of posting their socks? But at the same time, for me, it's like, well, you know what? If people like it, I'll keep doing it. And honestly, it's, if it makes somebody laugh a little bit with a stupid pair of Captain Crunch socks, then hey, so be it. If 2 people got a smile that day, I did my job. Hopefully, it helped their day out, and you know, it's, my job is done. I don't, you know, the 2 people who, you know, somebody peed in their Cheerios to start out their day, well, they don't really matter to me anyway at the end of the day. So my life's going to go on just fine without them, and so be it.
Well, that's um like that's what it's all about, right? We're doing these things for ourselves. This is that brings you happy. And the fact that, my smile, your socks, they're helping other people to be happy. So we're inadvertently making the world a better place by making ourselves happy. I mean, it's not the
Oh yeah,
topic of this
absolutely.
particular show, but I say this kind of stuff all the time that if you just give away all your stuff, then and don't save anything for yourself, don't try to make yourself happy, then you're going to run out of steam. You're going to run out of juice and you're not going to be able to make anybody happy because you didn't take the time to make yourself
Oh yeah, one
happy.
thousand percent. I agree with that.
Yeah. So, but uh I knew this would happen because I just love talking to Cory so much. We go back to where we were coming from and say, well, when we're talking about protecting our positive vibe, we got to talk about, we've talked about knowing what happy is for you, but we also got to talk about, in order to protect your vibe, you have to be able to let things go. And this is a big deal because
It is.
people hold on to so much, especially we just can't accept things, right? Somebody doesn't do what we want them to do, and keep pressing them that no, that's not the way you should do that. You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. Or, do what I want. You're not doing what I want you to do. And one of the
Mhm.
most important things you can learn is that the only person on this planet you can control is you. You can't make anybody else do anything, including accept your help, right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely, 1000%.
that we have a really hard time as a society, as people, just letting go of the things we can't control. And it always reminds me, like, bless anybody who's been through a 12-step program. All the strength to you. God be with you. And the serenity prayer, which is a big part of all of those kinds of recovery programs, is I'm really reminded of that all the time, where you say, God, grant me the serenity to change the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, to accept the things I cannot change, but to have the wisdom to know the difference. Right. And that is where we seriously are lacking quite often, because we refuse to see that some things are outside of our capability to fix. So we make ourselves crazy. You can't control the price of gas. You can
Nope.
carpool, you can earn points at Giant, so it's a little cheaper, but you yourself cannot make the price cheaper. So stressing over $4.39 is just stealing your happy. Accept it and do the things you can do to make it better.
Yeah.
Right?
I think too, a lot that goes with that too is, just people can kind of bring you down too, just because of their mindset. And, I think we all kind of know somebody, the famous phrase, the Debbie Downer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's honestly people I avoid, like, when I see them, different places, or I see them every day. And it's like you kind of learn that that's kind of their thing. It's like they kind of enjoy being down, as weird as that is to say. But I've kind of learned myself too. It's like, okay, well, don't fall into their trap, because it's really easy to, oh my God, did you watch the news today? Did you see blah, 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 see blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, no, I don't watch the news because, to be quite honest with you, like, I want to kind of stay in my own happy bubble, and, I don't want to burst that. And I think too, it's important to realize that too. It's, with protecting it, and, just letting things go. It sometimes is, you can't control what people's mindsets are. You can't control that. That's how they get throughout their day. But what you can kind of do is, just kind of just not let it affect yours, and just remember, like, okay, well, I'm going to stay on track with my positive path for the day, and, I'm going to get some things accomplished, and, no matter what. And, a big part of that too, that I think I used to always be affected with was, you hear certain insults from people, or you'd overhear some things, and it used to just wreck my day, and I think I forget who it was, a famous comedian who said, you always remember the great insults, but it's funny, but over time you forget compliments and things. And I was a huge victim of that before. I just kind of let things, just roll off my back. And, I can tell you, I've had days ruined just because I've overheard somebody make a comment, or I've had a comment directly said to me. And, now I think I'm at the point where it's like I've really practiced the whole let it go, or I can literally preach it, where it's like, what, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me, because they're going to go home to their miserable life, or for their miserable day. And you know what, it's not going to wreck my day, because I'm going to go and, I'm going to have a fantastic lunch, or whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm going to go and, I'm going to take my dog for a walk in the park, and we're going to have a great time. And, I don't really care if that person, how the rest of their day goes, which, it kind of sounds rude, but at the same time, as I've learned, where it's like, no, you know what, it's not going to affect me, how they are, how they think, and their mindset, and how they feel. So it's kind of what I've taught myself.
Not rude at all. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
that's, I have a kind of rude that they are going to try to throw mud in your happy all the time.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, you have to protect your sunshine, like, well, that there's like I said, you can't control what anybody else does, but there really are. Debbie Downers is gloomy Gus's, you know, that you have the right, to let people go just as much as you have the right to let things go. You can't control
Yeah,
what people
absolutely.
say, you can't control what people do, you can't control how people are. So like some people some people are just mean, right? There was somebody in my family who's no longer with us anymore, but she was just a mean person, and she would say something awful, and you'd be like, you can't say that, and she'd be like, why? It's true, you know. And that's just she was just not a nice person, and every time you came in contact with her, she never had anything nice to say to you, but everybody still went because she was a member of the family, and we're raised, you have to go be with your family and do these things with your family, and like your family, and you don't have to like people that do that to you. You're not mandated to do
No, I
that.
agree.
You you don't have to go visit somebody who's mean to you every time you see them. It's not an obligation you have to have. And other people, like a lot of times, Debbie Downers and gloomy Gusses and stuff, I don't even think they realize that that's what they're doing. They've just been doing it their entire lives. So they have no clue that they're being that way. So, like,
I agree.
there's this interesting, I read it probably like a year ago now, but it stuck with me so well that um, negative emotions are actually more powerful than positive emotions when you're talking about a group setting. So, like when me and my unicorns and rainbows come into a room, I tend to pump up the positivity in a room because I'm smiling, I'm laughing, no matter what it is. Like you shouldn't take me to funerals. I'm bad at those kinds of things because I'm still smiling and laughing. And
Same.
so I bring up a room, right? But a negative person, they come into the same room, and if they have the same level of energy as me, they drown me out because talking about way back in the history of us, right? It was important that our negative emotions were more powerful because we were trying to learn things like don't eat those mushrooms, and that bear will kill you and fire burns you, so we had to have very strong negative emotions, so we learned all these lessons, millennial ago, right? But now in 2022, we don't need to learn lessons like that, but genetically it's still in there that we, have negative emotions are stronger. So the person coming in and pulling down everybody's day, they're just stronger than me in a room. So you don't have to hang out with people like that. You can remove them from your life. You don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be like,
Absolutely.
"Yeah, well, you're a jerk." And and I'm not talking about, just stop. Always, 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 with every relationship in your life, I am a full believer that you should communicate your feelings and you should communicate to the person what happens when they do these things. But because you can't control them, once you have told somebody how they make you feel, if they don't make an effort to change that, you don't have to make an effort to be around them.
Nope.
That's just the way it is.
Absolutely true. Yep. I agree with that fully and wholeheartedly. It's, again, it's, we all have the right to feel how we feel. It's our feelings are our feelings, and nobody can tell you how you can feel. And if you're honest and you're open about it and you communicate it in a constructive manner, and I feel that, they still can't conform to you, I think, 1000% you have the right to remove yourself from any situation that you're not comfortable with and remove yourself from any relationship you're not comfortable with. And, at the end of the day, that makes us stronger because I'm a firm believer in the more that you stand up for yourself, the more that you're going to kind of earn those internal brownie points with yourself. And you get to that point where you kind of feel, what the right word would be, it's more or less like invincible, or you feel stronger. And you get to that point where it's a powerful feeling, being able to do that and just not letting somebody, realizing, okay, this person's not good for me in my life. And if I remove them, I can continue on my path because this person's, I'm trying to climb this mountain and they've got one foot and they're probably pulling me down a little bit. So if I can get free,
Mhm.
that's progress that I can continue to make. So, I'm a big believer in that too. And again, you can be constructive about it. You don't have to be, like you said, you have to be mean about it. You don't have to be nasty about it. But if you convey your feelings in a constructive manner and they can't understand that, well, if you're not on the same wavelength as somebody with certain things, it's okay. It's okay for them to feel their way and it's okay for you to feel your way. But at the end of the day, if you guys just aren't on that same wavelength, just, what's the old saying from the 70s? Just change the radio station. So
That's right. That's right.
younger viewers out there probably don't know what a radio station is. So, but
Way back in the day,
yeah,
we
way
had to
back in the
listen to
day.
commercials. We listened to commercials. We watched commercials. Ads had meaning.
I tell my kids all the time when I was a kid, there was no Spotify. They don't understand that. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, when you drove in the car, like when I first started driving, it's, you had your cassettes or you had the radio. That was it. They're like, cassettes? I'm like, yep.
That's me trying to explain to my kids at one point that if you like the song, you had to listen to the radio all day and then hit
Yeah, but you're
record
cool now.
and
You have a,
pray the
even
DJ
nail
didn't
band.
talk. Oh, you cut out. You talked about the
Sound systems. Now you're cool. So
my Nana van makes me incredibly cool. Who else has a
and you just
Nana
got the
van?
sound system put in there. So yeah,
I just got a new license plate too. That it's a rainbow unicorn and it says Nana van.
I did see that on Facebook. I saw that. So yeah, love it.
I didn't put it on
So
the
you
car yet.
gotta
I
roll.
keep forgetting to do that because I'm not highly motivated to touch my car at all. But we got a message here from Jen that says, I think happiness is a choice that only you can choose. Not another person or material item can give it to you. I didn't realize this till now that I am 40. I didn't realize this until now I'm 40. Growing up, I put my happiness into others making me happy or from material items. And when I didn't receive it from them or the items anymore, I would get really sad, which isn't what happiness is. You know what? I think that's an absolutely, like, that's a really good point. That, especially when we're younger, because when we're little, getting a toy makes us happy. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Getting a little bit of attention from somebody makes us happy. Being able to watch SpongeBob makes us happy, kind of deal. And it's not until you get older that you realize that happiness is not it's not attached to things and it's not attached to people. That's actually a really big lesson to learn is that it's nobody else's responsibility to make sure you're happy. It's your responsibility to make sure you're happy. No one else is gonna make you happy unless you're already, like they can add to your happy, they can make you feel happier. But if you're miserable, your wife is not gonna make you happy. If you're miserable, your kids are not gonna make you happy. Your best friend's not gonna make you happy. It's not their job to make you happy. You know, that was one of the hardest parts of my life prior to who I am now is that I spent all my time trying to make everybody else happy. And don't put that burden on somebody else. It's your job to make you happy. You do that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a good point too that Jen had, where it's like, I think it's human nature too to try to have, validation. Like you get dressed up, you kind of feel sharp. You go out there, and you want somebody to kind of give you a compliment. I think that's human nature too. It's like, you're, and it's nice when people do give you compliments about things. But obviously, it's great. So, but I think a lot of that too is like it's okay if you go out someday and somebody doesn't recognize, that. And I think if you kind of judge your day on, well, nobody complimented me today. I guess I don't look good. I think that's a horrible way of thinking. And I've been guilty of that in the past. 1,000%. And I think for me, it's just one of those things where I think I've kind of learned to be comfortable in my own skin with things and not look for validation. That's something even up as fairly recently within the last year, I think I've dealt with myself internally. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, no, you know what, it's fine. It's I know at the end of the day, I'm the one that controls, how I'm going to feel. So if somebody doesn't compliment me about something, it's okay. If somebody does recognize it, okay, it's another feather kind of in the cap type of thing. But
When
so
when
I
I
think
was
that's kind of
when I was really young, I I did this thing. It was just to protect myself, but I would call it the stranger zone. And when people who were supposed to be essential people in my life weren't living up to the expectation of what I thought they should be, I put them into what I called the stranger zone. And that made life so much easier because, you don't expect anything from a stranger, right? So when a stranger
mhm.
does something nice, like compliment you, you're like elated. You're like, whoa, that's so cool that they
Mhm.
complimented me. But you also are not mad that they didn't help you move. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
they're a stranger. And I was just doing it to protect myself when I was younger, and I had no clue that I was actually it was a building block for learning this lesson that it's my responsibility to make myself happy. It's their responsibility to make sure that they're happy, kind of feel. Because, if I'm depending on them for my happiness, I'm never going to get there.
It's true.
So I think so that's absolute valid point and great. I'm so happy when people chime in and join us on our conversations. It makes me feel really good that people are listening.
That could be like
So
a Facebook quote that somebody puts on their banner. It was that good, I think. So good job, Jen. I appreciate that. Appreciate your comment.
I really feel like the point of letting stuff go, especially letting people go, is that's something really hard for people to deal with. I think we are so, especially like I have a huge family, so it was really taught to me that you have to you have to give them everything you have. You give them your last drop of blood. That's what you're supposed to do for everything all the time. And like, I love my family and I'll give them a lot, but they can't have it all because I have to make sure that I'm happy. And you know, I was kind of in a mom spot at a young age. So I was mommying younger siblings as one of the oldest. And so I didn't have a lot of time when I was little to be little. And I was being a parent to them so young that I didn't realize that I was giving up things. And so as they got older, it was harder for me. So like everybody was
Hmm.
growing up and developing their own opinions, but I never really held it against any of them. Like I don't hold it against anyone that I uh was helping them or that I as an older sibling was doing mommy-ish type things for them. I never resented it or anything like that. But I don't want any of them trying to be everything to everybody. Like I have younger siblings now that when they take on too much, I'm like, hey, it's too much. It's not your job to make sure that all of us are fine because it's my job to make sure I'm fine and it's her job to make sure she's fine and it's his job to make sure he's fine. And if those two are fighting, it's their job to work it out. It is not your job to take care of everybody else in this family. And when I was younger, I was the one doing that. I was the one saying, I have to fix all this. I have to make sure she gets along with him and that they get along with them and that everybody's together for Christmas. And I have to make sure these things. And no, I didn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't my job.
But I think I was the same way with a lot of, similar types of things too, where it's like, sometimes you just kind of feel like, you have people who, everybody wants to kind of please everybody else, but at the same time, you kind of think about, you forget about yourself when you're
Yep.
thinking about those types of things. And, sometimes it's, in the past, people have said stuff and just to not sake of arguing, I didn't stand up for myself. And it's like, you just kind of agree and you go with it. And then next thing you know, down the road, you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing? So I think for me, one of the most powerful things that I learned was the phrase, "Oh, we can agree to disagree," and it's
Hmm.
okay. It doesn't mean that your friendship is over. It doesn't mean that your relationship is over. It doesn't mean that you're obviously not going to not talk to that relative anymore just because you disagree about certain things. I think it's fair, and I think everybody's owed that. And I think once I learned that too, it was kind of a good way of changing my mentality with different things too.
Yeah, agreed. Like you have to. Sometimes you're not going to see eye to eye. You know, it's silly
Hmm.
to think that you have to even.
Yeah.
And some of we actually have people commenting things like people confuse love with happiness. That's a big
True.
one because you need love, right? Everybody needs love. I mean, they actually did things with they didn't hug babies and babies were miserable because they didn't actually have physical touch. You know what I mean? So we
Hmm.
all need love. We've got a new person commenting, Angela, and I want to say your name is Ducey, and I don't want to mess that up, but hi, Angela, welcome. And she says it's important to accept that people, no matter the role in your life, sometimes cannot love you to the level of your vibration. In this case, your level of positivity. And when that happens, it is not your job to keep giving of yourself. it is okay to change the dynamic of a relationship and protect yourself. That is exactly what we're saying, right? That
It is. It's true.
yeah, that we're protecting our positivity, our happiness, by saying, like we don't vibrate, I can love you and not let you rain on my parade all the time
Yeah.
or whatever it
Sometimes
is that
it's,
happens to happen, you know.
I'm full of the cliches tonight, but I think sometimes, you've heard it too. It's okay to love somebody from a distance. That's okay. You
That's
don't,
right.
if somebody's going to bring you down, it doesn't mean you have to stop loving them in a certain way. It just, it doesn't always necessarily mean romantically too. People always associate that with, it's not. It's like, you can have love and you can care for somebody, but you can care from a far distance or two brooms lengths away or whatever you want to say, and just kind of keep it at the positive where it's like, no, there's no ill will or anything like that, but just it doesn't fit, my schedule at this time in my life. So, you don't fit
I,
on my agenda. Well,
I say to my kids all the time, like I don't always like you. Sometimes I don't like you at all, but I always love you.
it's
I
true.
always love you, because there's going to be points in our lives where we just do not jibe, where we're not on the same wavelength, and that's okay. The other
Yeah.
thing too, and I'll mention it just briefly because I have such a huge family, right? We tend to ebb and flow, whereas like with 9 siblings, for a 2-year period, I'll be super tight with this one and we'll be doing everything together. And then we change because we're supposed to. We're supposed to evolve. And when we evolve, we change separately. So then we're not jibing like we did. But then another sibling is in the same path that I'm on. And so then I'm hanging out with that sibling. And, you know, that it happens with siblings, it happens with friends, it happens with other family
Mhm.
members, and it is okay, you know. And that doesn't mean, you're gonna find your group, uh every single day. You be you every single day. Your responsibility is to be the best version of you that you can be. So you do you every day to the best of your ability. Try 100%, and the right people will be there. The ones that belong with you will be there at the end of the day. So the ones that you have to let go along the path, that they will find their right people too. So you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about you left them behind. You didn't leave them behind. They just took a different road than you.
it's true. So, I have this conversation probably weekly with two of my good friends right off the top of my head that I can think of. And, we kind of talk about, and that's the evolution. That's kind of why, we're always have been a good fit as far as like friendship goes, and how, because, we have similar goals and structures in our life where it's like, we're not always necessarily happy with being, certainly never being happy with being status quo. And, we always seek out, and I think you and I have been talking about this before the podcast even started, it's like, if I set out to do something, I'm setting out to do something to be the best at it. I'm not here just to be mediocre. I'm not here to show up and say, hey, you know what, I gave it a try, and guess what? Like, I'm okay at it. It's like, no, I want to put in, the most upmost effort I can, and just kind of keep it at that, where it's like I just want to kind of keep climbing, climbing, climbing. And sometimes, you have certain friends in life that they're happy with that status quo. And, my friends and I talk about it, or we're at the point now where it's like, time is, one of the most precious commodities, obviously, that we have. And, I just don't have particular time in my life anymore for those people that don't want to move forward. They don't want to advance. They're kind of stuck
Okay.
in their same rut. That, want to be surrounded by, going to move forward, look for that evolution. And it's okay to, again, still be friends with those people, but at the same time, keep them at the, that arm length away, and just kind of just, it's okay for you to keep them moving forward in your own life, and you don't have to feel bad about it at all. And I think that's okay. It's definitely okay. And, at a certain point in life, that, you have to make that decision when you get to the crossroads. If they're going to start making bad decisions and they're not going to be, you know, of any positive effect in your life, it's okay to let them go.
No.
That's okay. It's, I think a lot of times we're all guilty of hanging on to memories. Oh, well, so-and-so's been my friend for so long, and you have those
Yeah.
memories from way back. It's like, okay, that was in 2004. This is many, many years later. It's like I've kind of moved on from the, I don't know, a curse on the air, so I'll say, the tomfoolery or whatever, and like the hot mess of, what your life is. And I'm sorry, I don't have time to waste on that anymore, because I've evolved and I'm way past that stage. So I don't feel bad moving on.
We do
That
that
makes
a lot.
sense.
choose history over happiness. You know,
Exactly.
that
A
I
lot
can't
of
tell
people are
you
guilty of
how
that.
many times I hear people that are like, well, we've been together 20 years, or I've been friends with her since third grade, or, and I've had this job since I was a kid, you know, just because
Hmm.
something has been around forever does not make it the right choice for you now. I can't say it enough that you are changing if you want to change or not, right? You are not the person you were yesterday. You're not the person you were in high school. You're not the person you were 20 years ago. And, you can embrace those changes and live the best life, or you can try to hold on to that history and hold yourself back and resist really finding happiness, and some relationships they travel with us and we grow together. Like
Absolutely.
those are the best marriages, the ones that really you look at them and they've been together for 50 years and they're still holding hands and that kind of stuff, because when they grew together. That is not always the case. In fact, more often than not, people don't grow in a straight line. They grow well. They're not making poor choices or growing into bad lives. They're just not growing together in a life.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with 1000%. Like yeah, it's okay, to cut people off and to kind of keep moving forward. And again, just sometimes that reminiscing holds people back, and I think it's fear too. I think a lot of it is fear. It's people get, they
hmm
I know I was guilty of this too. It's like, you get comfortable in your routine with stuff and you're like, okay, well, again, it's, you hit the nail on the head. Oh, it's been X amount of time or whatever. Okay, this is the path that I think I'm supposed to have in life. And you're like, no, at the end of the day, I'm not happy. And just because there's all those factors in play, it's like, okay, if you take a step back and you think about it, it's that fear of change. I think everybody's got that natural fear of change. But I think, stepping aside and being on the other side of it now, like myself personally, I look back and I'm like, man, I can't believe that I was so afraid of that change because,
yes,
you know, now I'm like freaking, I'm smiling like I'm Grimace from McDonald's, like I'm looking
same,
like a smiling idiot,
same.
and it's
I was like,
okay.
why did I was so afraid. The same thing. Like I was so afraid. I was so afraid to like stand up for myself and be like, no, this is not, and this is not what's going to happen. I matter too. I was afraid to do those things because of history, because of my kids, because there you got so many other things to worry about. And I was never looking at what the good things that could be. I was just so focused on what I might be giving up that I was afraid to even ask for more. I was afraid to stand up for myself at all. I would try and then I would just crumble. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess I don't get to have what I need as a person to be happy, and it's crazy now for me because um I am the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Like I feel like I can't even remember being this happy as a child because there's this certain freedom to my life now where, whatever it is, if it's not bringing me joy, then I'm moving on from it.
hmm,
Not burning bridges and beating people up on the way, but I'm going to
yeah,
readjust my focus to something that brings me happiness because I only have so many days left here. I'm not cowering for any more of them for anybody or anything. I'm going
no,
to live them to my fullest every single day.
absolutely, you have to, and and again, it's one of those things. Once you realize that, it's like, that's what makes you happy, and that's what kind of gives you your happy power, and that's what gives the vibe. And other people pick up on it too. And that's the funny thing is, once you're genuinely happy, people can tell that you're genuinely happy. You're the good people that are around you. They know. They know you, and it's I was one of those people too, which even days where I wasn't happy and when I didn't have my happy days, and which were for a period of time for like a year or two, and my true friends knew it, but other people who didn't know me, they never would guess it, because I always kept
Yeah.
that good, yeah, that good look up and everything. But then my friends who really knew me and know me, who've been with me since the beginning of time and still are with me now, like they knew, they're just like, wow, like you're actually happy now. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've always, like, no, 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 like we know, like you're actually truly happy. They can see that difference and how it is. So
Yeah.
and that's why, incredible to have those relationships in your life, to the people that they stick by you, and, they're the ones that they're there for you, and,
See it.
makes it a great life.
We got Jen is telling us, if you're always looking in the rearview mirror, you're gonna crash. So I love analogies. I live for analogies. That's you keep looking back there. You can't go forward if you keep looking at the past, holding on to the past. And then I've learned change often requires me to hug a big cactus, but the destination always has turned out better than where I was before. I think it is always fear holding people back, but if they realize that change leads to transformation and growth, that's the most beautiful destination, even more than you envisioned. And I couldn't say that any better because
Wow.
yeah, that was Angela. Please
Yes.
follow me,
Okay.
Angela. Please add your comments to my stuff. I need you to follow me and help me out here. And if anybody would like to be a guest on this show because you have decided to choose positivity in your life, please don't come on the show and try to be a negative Nancy because then I'll have to
Angela's
block
going to
you.
probably get a call after the show from a Hallmark recruiter.
That's it. Angela,
We need you to write these cards. We need you. We need you.
that's it. We need you. We need you. Angela and Jen have both been very love the
Right?
positivity and the collaboration with us here. It's one of the best parts about social media. It is the best part about
I've
social
got Dollar Tree quotes. They're coming with the full Hallmark shoebox. So
There we go. Well, I think we know what time it is. I have 15 electronic devices open, and I'm looking at my wind-up clock for the time because none of them have the time.
Technology's great.
I always know what time it is because I actually wind my clock. But this was a great, a wonderful episode. I feel like we had a lot of informative stuff and I had a great time. I'm feeling super positive myself. How about you, Cor?
Absolutely. Always. So, before we go, I've got my little note list here. I want to give some of my good friends that have been with me since the beginning some definite shout outs. If I can kind of roll through those.
You sure can.
All right. So first of all, obviously my friends Darren and Jay at Roselux Motors. So known those guys probably going on 25 plus years at this point. So it's always just great friends of mine. Mike Earhart, Art and Soul Studios. All my tattoos, great friend of mine again, 20 plus years. Absolutely one of the most positive people that's out there. Fantastic. My good friends Ryan and Brooke Dietrich, they're really killing it in the real estate game. Friends with them for a long time. And I also have my friend Jesse Osbooth with, he does insurance. So he's yet another great friend too, right down the road from me. So, and then of course, Angela Ducey, who actually was our guest writer. So just want to give a great shout out to her too. So great, super positive influence. It gives me smiles every day.
So we actually got a caller while you're doing all your shout outs.
Oh, you're a caller. Look at that.
Changed your name, caller, because it was your phone number. So, but who do we have on the line, please?
Joe.
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 Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. I want to say that I really agree with Cory. The last thing he said. Cory,
Hello?
I can hear you.
Good.
Oh, there you go.
So this is the thing. I was in a relationship, a kind of relationship that I've been talking about. I got out of it by a pleasant coincidence. And I was trying to figure out, once I was out of it and my life was more peaceful, how to deal with the situation that stressed me out a lot. And so I came up with this 48-hour rule. Somebody hurts me, somebody makes me sad, somebody says something, does something, I give myself 48 hours, 2 days, to deal with it. And then that's it. Then I drop it. because I came to realize that the other person wasn't being hurt by it. The other person wasn't carrying that around. I was. I was hurting myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really worked well for like 20 years.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing about, well, they say that about hate, right? You should forgive people, not hate people, not for them, but for you. Because when you carry around that kind of anger, hate, hurt, you carry that stuff around. You let people in there and invade your positivity. Then the only person who's affected is you. But most of the time, when somebody hurts you, they know they hurt you. Most of the time. Sometimes they don't, but most of the time, especially if you communicate. My gosh, if you communicate and you tell them you do X, it hurts me, and they still keep doing X, why? Why should you hold on to it anymore? They don't care. You let it go. It's great
True.
advice too. That set a timer for yourself. Like I never had a timer before. I let stuff fester for years and years and years and years. But now my timer's pretty quick. Maybe a day, if that. Because
Same with me. Yep.
yeah, I put things into place that as soon as they upset me, I might get mad for a minute, but anger is a completely wasted emotion. Sadness has its place because we have to deal with things like death, right? And abandonment and things like that. But anger, all anger does is still joy. It really does not have a spot at all in our lives. It's a knee-jerk reaction, and I try not to let it have. I let it have as little time as it possibly can. Yes, I get angry, but I almost immediately start being like, okay, let me have a cup of coffee or a glass of tea. Let me find my music. Let me call my grandbaby. Let me talk to my best friend. I need to do something that pulls me out of this because anger is just totally destructive. But it's great. Set a time limit. Absolutely.
Your microphone changed tea. It was supposed to be bourbon, but it changed bourbon to tea. So yeah. But I agree, though. It's anger is just a black cloud that kind of hangs over you. So you kind of let that storm pass. Yep. And it's a great point there, Joe. You give your 48 hours. I personally do 24. I'm like, it's not going to affect me in 24. Or at the end of the day, it's somebody that really isn't going to affect how my day is going to go in 24 hours. Then you know what? If it's not affecting them, then sayonara, keep it moving. So.
Yeah, the black crowd metaphor I like. I mean, I really like that metaphor because you can get rid of it. You can dispel it. And now I'm really able to do it. The sun rises on the eastern part of my home. In the morning I get up, go to the window, look out, say, thank you, God, for giving me another day of life. And if there's anything bothering me, I try to shrug it off and just toss it out into the daylight. It's a great feeling.
Beautiful thing, man.
I'm so glad you can do that, Joe.
Absolutely. I'm happy for you can.
And I'm super happy you called because not only did we get to talk to you, but we know the calling option works this way.
Right, there you go. No technical difficulties like that.
Yes, that means the calling worked. That means my intro music worked. That means that I had that little glitch when I first shut it or tried to pop it back up. So I need a banner with a number. But
yeah, that's good. You should put the number up more.
Well, that's what I need to figure that out. So if anybody is an IT specialist and would like to volunteer their time to make Pardon My Positivity a regular part of their lives, you can reach me at paula.pardonmypositivity@gmail.com.
Shameless promo, look at that.
That's all those years of volunteering. I can spit out 1-800 numbers like the best of them.
Good. Great job. Have a nice night.
You too. Thanks, Joe. And
Thanks,
you,
Joe. Thanks for the
Cory.
It was great being here. I really appreciate it. And I had a blast. It was definitely fun. I'll be back anytime. So
yes. So we'll have Cory back another time. I have 1 or 2 guests lined up for future week. The next time we will be here is the 30th. Won't be here next Sunday, but the following Sunday, I'll be here with bells on with a new guest, and we'll have Cory back another day. And if you're interested, please reach out to me, message either one of the Facebook pages, put a comment on the YouTube if you're watching there, or, contact me via email. It's posted on all the sites where you're watching. So thanks everybody for helping us improve our positivity today. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Cory.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.